Very good. Good evening, everybody. This is Thursday, August 17th. This is the meeting of the Golf Commission. It's approximately 6 p.m. Let us say the pledge of allegiance before we start, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Call the orders right now. We have the only person missing that we know right here is there are two people. Joe Pacini is missing and Jimmy Green is missing. Correct? All of the commissioners are present. Very good. Audience of citizens. I have asked Kevin Delaney before I'm down. I'm sorry, Don. To come here, and this is gonna be very informal, Kevin. No. Very informal. Just kind of pick your brain a little bit.
Sure.
So we can, and I know you're thank you for your time. Just say, no, 10, 15 minutes, that's all we need. That's all we need. And then, kind of fill in everybody, what's going on, right? I mean, from the bonding on the bridges, to the fact that we've probably given back $500,000 over the past couple of years to the town, and it's kind of frustrating from our perspective because we know that a lot of work needs to be done at the courts, but yet we're still turning money over, right? And so I've had discussions with Saul about that going forward, and prevent that going forward. And listen, it's great to turn money back, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done at the courts. And once it goes back, it goes back into the general fund, right? Unless we allocate it prior to that for some sort of reserve, and that hasn't happened. That to my knowledge, that hasn't happened. But so, kind of can you fill us in with number one with the bridges? What's going on with the bridges?
Sure. So the bridges have been.
Hold on. This is Kevin Delaney, Director of Finance.
Yep. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
So the bridges have been a topic for a while. This goes back to, I'd say, probably 3 or 4 years before John Zook had left. That's how far back he and I have been talking about how do we fund replacing all of the bridges on the course. Typically, when it comes to capital for any venture in the town, the highest priority is public safety. Anything that represents a safety issue. With the wide spectrum of users of the golf course, an 18-year-old kid, if a bridge starts to collapse, an 18-year-old kid might jump to the side and be okay. But you have a broad demographic, so it's clear and obvious that needs to be safe. It needs to be safe for carts, for, in the event it's necessary, public safety vehicles, as well as anybody walking. So last year, as part of the appropriation of the surplus, $50,000 was put into a separate account, and it's still there. Once capital is put in into an account, essentially it's non-lapsing. If it sits idle for 3 years, then by charter it's supposed to go back to the general fund. But essentially it gives you a period of time to work with it. The request this year is to take another $50,000 and put it into that account. The latest conversations that I've had with Jerry Salvio at the course, and I know Sal, you and Jerry are meeting with earth contractors and others with some various options, that there is a good option with a long lifespan that is in the neighborhood of $250,000 to $275,000. So when you look at that gap, there's probably 3 ways to fund it. One would be for the town to borrow money and do that. I can tell you that the Board of Finance in particular, but even the council to a large extent, doesn't have an appetite to borrow a lot of money right now. The second option would be to take money from savings and just simply appropriate the money and do that. There are a number of hands in the pot, so to speak, for that. There's a lot of projects that need to be done, so the probability of getting that isn't necessarily great. But I have been in contact with the state. Every year in the state budget, there is a local capital improvement amount of money allocated to every community. The town has used that, the last 3 cycles has used that to fix leaking roofs. First at the town garage, it's been used at the building for grounds and highway and for water control, literally roofs that were leaking and people were putting buckets in to catch it when it rained. We now come around to this point and the state has confirmed we can use that money under the Parks and Rec program heading in that group if we wanted to for the bridge.
And how much money is that?
Right now, we have over $200,000 there. It accumulates every year, so if you don't use it, it's not lost.
But so you said you know, you're gonna lose, if it's not used within 3 years.
That's the local money, not the state money.
Okay.
The state money will sit there. Right now, we haven't moved forward because the most recent budget included an item. Typically, what happens is you request that first you request it from your council, and the town council passes a resolution authorizing to go do that. And then we go to OPM and say we'd like X dollars of that money, and then they approve it, we spend, and then we request reimbursement. The budget this year included a measure that said the state doesn't want to do that anymore. The state wants to actually give that to the towns and simply say, we have the right to audit it. Here's the parameters, spend it within these parameters, here's the money up front. My hope is that within the next month or two, that will happen, the money will come out, and then it's a local decision as to how that money should be used.
So we're gonna have to get in line with everybody else that has little projects going on. So in effect, I'm just gonna say this publicly, the golfers have funded the town to the tune of $500,000. I mean, realistically, in the last 4 or 5 years, let's just call it what it is.
I mean, I'd say that's true in the last 4 or 5 years. If you went back a little further, the golf course was getting things, was receiving more than was put in.
To the tune of more than $500,000.
Probably in the neighborhood of about 300,000. But I think either way, one thing you probably want to consider, and we've been talking about here, and a number of towns, including Farmington, do this with their golf course, is to put it in a special revenue fund. It's not an enterprise fund. An enterprise fund is like what water control is. You own all your operations, you own all your debt service, you're like a mini business. Special revenue fund is an opportunity to put your operating money separate from the general fund. You run it on your own. Parks and Rec actually has special revenue funds. So there's some general fund and some special revenue money. That money doesn't lapse at the end of the year. The advantage you have there is, if you take in the money, so if you were to look at the P&L from the end of last year, which I'm sure you have, there's close to $200,000 of budget, a substantial amount of money. Special revenue fund, that money would sit there until you've decided to do something with it. So you could transfer it to capital projects, and you could do capital projects with it. I would recommend in that instance you would leave some cushion there so that if you had bad weather or something, you would the ups and downs. But that's an opportunity to have the money sit there. You don't have to act at the end of a particular fiscal year. It's a fund balance, so you don't have to use it for a particular purpose at a point in time. With the general fund, at the end of the year when the books are closed, it goes back to fund balance in the general fund, and then you have to appropriate it. And so we're trying to do that now with the $50,000, as well as a whole series of items, not just Timberland related. It's close to $1.9 million, Parks and Rec, vehicles, police, a whole bunch of folks. So it's something to consider. Again, special revenue is about your operating, not about your capital. It's about you operate separately from the general fund. You're already effectively doing that. When the budget's developed, it's developed with the idea that there's an ordinance, you have to be self-sustaining. The benefit to this is, if you're going to be self-sustaining and you have a good year, the money stays in that fund. You can think of it similarly to your CIP money. The CIP money, the $1 and $2 you pay, goes into a separate capital fund. It does not go into the general fund. It sits there separate all the time. This is an opportunity for you to operate outside of the general fund. You would very likely still have to present and have a budget adopted by the council. But if you were to go online and look at Farmington's books, they would have that. If they have a bad year, they basically borrow from the general fund, and then ultimately they would pay
It back.
Yeah.
So what happens to the point in time if you're running a string of bad years, right? You still have to pay that back at some point in time, right?
That would be the idea.
And that's the downside. So you're rolling the dice that we're gonna.
How does New Britain operate?
I don't not looked at that. I'd have to look.
They operate
but
like we do.
it's
They
an
operate
amendment.
exactly like we do,
Yeah.
only New Britain gets a ton of grant money. And I don't know who our grant writer is, but when's the last time $1 from any grant money was spent on Timberland? Not as long. You remember? You've been here a long time.
I remember getting 100,000 back in the mid-90s, and it was used for the Little League fields. Monetary used it for the Little League.
Not 1 cent of any grant money coming to this town has ever been spent on Timberland that I know of.
There was money on the roofs in Timberland before I arrived here, LoSiP money, the grant I'm talking about.
Okay.
They did actually take money to redo some roofs, some of the roofs over there. But that is something I'm proposing, we've already talked about it at both the Board of Finance, and it was brought up to the council to potentially use the money for that. It's an opportunity to take a safety matter.
Yeah.
Whether folks support the golf course or not, it is still town-owned property. And similar to bridges at a Sage
Well, I
Park.
mean, not to interrupt you, but the golfer supports the golf course, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the golfer's getting, for lack of a better word, they're getting shortchanged. Because we are setting their rates on a budget that is totally fictitious. The last 2 years, let's look at that budget, okay? Let's look at what the actual expenditures were versus what was budgeted. This year is to the tune of $120,000, okay? Who spent that money? No, we didn't spend that budget. It goes back to the general fund, but the golfer paid for it.
And that's where the special revenue fund would say, it would sit there and it would then be,
Well, you know what, make it retroactive and maybe it's a good thing, but that's not gonna happen, is it? So let's call it what it is. It's a little frustrating that we put this on the golfer every year, and it's not fair. It's not fair to that golfer, because they're not getting what they pay for.
So how do we set up this? What are the steps, what are the process, what do we need to do to set up this special revenue?
Careful what you wish
Yeah,
for.
I agree with you.
Careful
on
what
this
you
one,
wish
but
for.
I understand what you're saying, but I was
Well, not an enterprise fund.
no, it doesn't
It
matter.
might as well be, because you still gotta pay it back.
You gotta pay it back.
You still gotta pay it back. That's just,
If and
it's just
when-
If the years are
it's just a
bad,
word, enterprise versus special revenue. If you lose money, you borrow it from your town,
well,
you
the
gotta pay it
distinction
back.
between enterprise and special revenue really stems around the capital.
Right.
The debt and
Yeah.
financing the major expenditures versus your operations.
What's sad, Kevin, I read in the paper about a week ago, Rockledge got $150,000 from the state to put a new pump house. All right, and I'm saying, okay, they're doing their things, other courses are doing their things. What's wrong with Berlin?
We don't have a grant writer that focuses on that kind of stuff. It just doesn't. We
can you outsource that? Can you outsource that? I mean, do we have a grant writer on staff, or is it somebody's, added to one of their jobs? I mean, realistically, just call it what it is. Because I know New Britain actually they have one on staff, and it's Alex Williams, right? I mean, and I coached this kid, and I know he writes for them. And, so if we have to go,
we have somebody.
talk to them,
Do we have
is that we have a
He
full-time
lives
person.
he lives
who
in
does.
Maine, from what I understand.
Where?
We have somebody who does write grants.
Well, that's great, but
He's very good with the state grants and area.
Is he an employee or a contractor?
He's a consultant.
contract.
Yeah, former employee, but a consultant.
He would come to you, bring to you.
Um,
I got another question for you, Kevin, and Peter kind of hit on this, and this has kind of been in the back of everybody's head, and I think people are just kind of afraid to come out and say it, but if I had to put a bridge over Sage Park, who would pay for that?
the town.
Okay, so
Okay,
but
street
let's
pays
stop
for
that.
it.
Stop-
Who pays
stop
for
that.
that?
So why, and this is, to me, this is the, how can I say this, almost like a dichotomy here, it's like, why, if the town would pay for that at Sage, why would they pay for that at Timberland? You know what, the bridge, the tree work, everything, and let's just call it what it is, and at some point, we're gonna have to say, we're gonna have to look at the cost benefit of some of this stuff, and is it,
Well,
are we
again,
more
I
efficient
yeah.
doing things a little bit differently?
And this is where, I put out there, using the LoSiP grant from the state. I would say the other elephant in the room, which is the town doesn't fund much capital at all anywhere. I know you're very passionate about Timberland, but I can tell you as a person who sees the full picture, it's typically one item that is consistently cut from the budget. We're circling back if there's a surplus to spend it. So it doesn't resolve your issue, but I would say it's not focused exclusively on Timberland. You deal with it with Parks and Rec. There have been requests from Parks and Rec that have been on the books. I'm here 7 years, and they've predated me, and we've continued to put them on every year. That splash pad's probably been on for
Right.
how long?
Right.
We're not coming at you, Ken, we're not.
You know,
This isn't a personal
No,
attack.
it's not.
No,
It's not.
But the frustration does lie though, is Sage Park, if a tree is endangering anybody who goes to the park, the town pays to have that tree removed. If a tree at Pistol Creek, who is dangerous at the cart path, and the walking paths or whatever, the town pays for that tree. We pay for our own tree. Why?
You absolutely do.
We pay for our own refuse. Name one other department that pays for their own dumpster removal. Name one. No, we.
Well, listen,
So,
alright,
you know,
so
it's
we're not gonna get anywhere there.
But
but
I
it's-
mean, the
It's
ordinance-
the little things.
We're if the ordinance is changed, but I mean, from a staff perspective.
It's not the ordinance, but you're right, it's from, it's the way it's run, let's just say that
Kevin,
much, that's,
excuse me.
that's,
Is it the finance department that doesn't wanna spend the money, or is it town council, or is it both?
We don't dictate. I mean, finance, we are executing what has been in.
Yep.
I can tell you that the $50,000 for the bridge was in the budget that the Board of Finance sent in the last go-round to the council, and the council made the decision in the interest of helping taxpayers during a tough year of revaluation and the economy and other things. They cut all the capital, but we spent a lot of time on the capital. This was actually in the current budget, so it would have been in the mill rate, and all of the capital was taken out.
okay.
It's-
Alright, so that, OPM, okay, well, my last question. So when are you gonna talk to OPM?
OPM has already said this qualifies.
So this qualifies, the bridge is qualifying. So, or the 250,000 that you're talking about, or the 200,000 that they're gonna give you, but that just goes, that goes up for grabs, correct? It's not just, that's not earmarked for the bridges, correct?
Well, it has to be a discussion internally to propose to the council, and there has to be a council
Now,
resolution.
do we have to go to the council? Do we have to go to the front of the council and request that?
That's what Jerry said.
Ultimately, it would
Thank you.
probably be Jerry. I mean, Jerry's been working on it, working closely with some different contractors to figure out some different options. That's why it hasn't moved forward, is figuring out exactly what we want.
I mean, we've been
He-
talking, no offense, Kevin, I talked to Jerry about this 2 years ago. If it takes you 2 years to figure out what you're gonna do, then you're not the right person for the job. I'm just sorry, it's just the way it is. I mean, we've been talking about this with the Lyman Orchard Bridge, when we were sitting, this is not anything new. This is the biggest frustrating problem that,
I hear you. The key
listen,
though with
government's
this,
slow, but this is
the
going
key
reverse.
with this grant is you wanna make sure everything you want to put in, whether it's remediating something, whether it's
No, I-
foundation, has to be included, otherwise the state has the right to come
Sure.
back and say,
They're-
great that you did it, but you're not getting reimbursed. And to my knowledge, and I know during my time it's never happened, to my knowledge, we've never been rejected because we are, I'll use the word thorough, you probably use a different word, but we're thorough in making sure we know what the project is, whatever project that might be. We've had an all-encompassing request, and then we execute the project. And that grant has worked very well for the town on a number of different initiatives. This is an opportunity to take something that's of substance. It's not, $2 million to redo the sand traps, but it's $250,000, $300,000. It's a substantial project to finally get that done. 7. I'm sorry.
Nancy,
No,
Donna, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh,
Donna Bovee, you have
I would just,
to.
yeah, Donna Bovee, 85 Steepleview Drive, Berlin, right? So, knowing what I know and being involved, the finance commission, they decide what eventually gets done, right?
They
The
prioritize.
council blesses it, or can change it, but in this September 5th, they're gonna be discussing, we think, maybe move to another meeting, but we've been following it. They'll be discussing, you know, capital and how to spend the surplus, how to spend
September 5th.
whatever they wanna put towards capital. And from like Parks and Rec Commission, we have our list of capital, you guys should all have that same list for you, for Timberland, right? And you put it out for years. And you have that list and you prioritize, again, safety being one. But I can tell you, I go to a lot of meetings, I go to finance, I'll go to town council, and I'll continue to talk and push what we feel we need, you know, for the citizens of Berlin. We need to do that, because, you know, the staff, they, like Kevin said, I
Yeah,
will
we
tell
need-
you, Kevin is a great advocate
Yep.
at the finance meetings, if you ever listen to the meeting, you'll hear him speak to every one of those capital items and why it's important. You know, sometimes they listen, other times it's like, okay, well, you know, we're not doing anything, that's what it is. He's a great advocate. But they execute. It's
Yeah,
it's
no, no, no.
politics,
That-
and you
that's-
gotta go to those
Hear
meetings.
the orders, hear what's
You
happening.
gotta go to those
No
meetings.
problem.
And one thing I wanna highlight for September 5th is the first item on the agenda at, I believe it's 6:45, will be a town meeting. So it's a non-budget appropriation, we're essentially asking the residents first, then the council, then the Board of Finance, this is how the charter's written, to appropriate money from savings. It will be replaced with surplus from this year, but everybody who is an elector in town, everybody who owns property in town, has a right to come and vote, for or against. You have the right to speak up and ask questions on any of the items that are in there. You have the right to express your view on, maybe there's items that are on that list that you believe are not as high a priority as some of the items you see at Timberland, and you think other items should be there. We've put a list together, it's close to $2 million, because there has been a lot of deferred capital throughout the town. I'm sure you see it, not just at Timberland, but just around town, a lot of things you'd like to see.
So, Kevin, if I understand this, if they put it out to a vote for the townspeople, if they shoot it down, does that stop right there?
It does.
It does, okay.
Which is why if you
You gotta stack it up?
typically, I will tell you historically, there's the council members, obviously as residents, they have the right to vote. Occasionally, there's a few other people, but it's typically pretty quiet. And that can be taken, I guess, in a number of different ways. One way that you could take it is people are generally satisfied, if it passes, they're okay with it. We are trying to move forward on a number of initiatives. Like I said, the bridges are one. There was a lot of discussion especially during one Board of Finance meeting this budget season. A number of ladies came and spoke very well about the playgrounds and the playscapes in the town and the need for work there. And there's an attempt to move forward with Little People's down the hill here, and then use that as momentum. I think part of it is also getting the momentum going. People who start to see things improving, you have an opportunity to get a little public support and momentum as that starts to.
We're gonna run into a safety issue. I mean, and it's inevitable, because it's starting to happen. And
It's
you
been.
know what? So it's either that or a lawsuit. It's one of the, just call it what it is. And that's, that, and it is gonna happen.
Now, the good news is your as Jerry calls it, the brains of the irrigation system. There were frayed wires, and I didn't see it, but the description from people who were doing, the experts who were doing the work, was just not great. It was about a $20,000 repair to put the new brains in the system. Obviously, if your irrigation system goes, that's a critical problem for any golf course. Maybe not over the last couple of days, but eventually it will be. So that money was put aside and transferred and put in during the year. So Sal, I don't know if that's done or not, but I know that's an active project.
That's the right way to do it. I think that's how we should.
And so-
we should do every dollar that we have given.
And the bridges were coming next, so it was kind of trying to take the priorities of, hey, you don't want a brown golf course. And then at the same time, we're trying to work the bridge element and get those repaired. And then I think you start to open up some of the other things, whether it's the cart paths, the
Sure.
sand
Well,
traps.
there was a 5-year plan now, I've been asking for this forever, right? 1, 3, 5, 10. It's a living document, and, it's like pulling teeth to get this thing. Now, there's a 5-year plan, and certain people, we're not gonna say who, their names are all over it, but they've said they've never seen it, so, we'll resurrect this thing again and talk amongst
I
ourselves.
would encourage you to do that, anybody can go to the website, we have it's a 10-year plan, although the last
Yeah,
5 years
that's-
are hidden. We've asked everybody, if you will look, there are detailed, down to boilers at all the schools.
Sure.
We have police vehicles, fire trucks, other
Good.
things.
Good.
As robust as you want it to be, it will be put on there, and it's on the website all the time for anybody to look at, and ultimately, it's not just your golf course, it's your town. So if the priorities aren't what you think they should be, barring of course a major safety matter that needs to be addressed, you have an opportunity to go to the Board of Finance and the Council. And I can tell you there, at one of the Board of Finance meetings, there was concern about what was going to happen with capital. Between the folks who joined on Zoom, it looked like, it looked like 8 different versions of Brady Bunch. There were so many boxes on it, and probably 25 people or so in the room that were there. There's over 40 people voicing their views on that. And it did influence. I can tell you that the Board of Finance it was tier 2, cut the little people's playground. But when it was done, they said, if at the end of the year we have enough surplus, we'd like to see that added on, we'd like to see it come back to us. And it has come back.
Yep.
And that entire list was vetted with the Board of Finance before it went to the council. And they gave the nod, they didn't vote, because the vote has to come to them later, but they gave the nod saying, we support this stuff, we need to invest. So they do hear you. I feel it had an impact just observing all those
Yeah,
meetings.
no, it does.
It was that well attended, and hopefully that will continue because it is your town.
Make sure that 5-year plan you talked is
Well,
what's in this,
that,
the town's plan.
One more second.
Cause if it's not, no one's
So-
looking
No,
at it.
no,
You will eventually.
no, basically, but I saw this up meeting between yourself and Arosh, and a couple others, and just kind of, whiteboard all these things, and that way we have them, and there's your plan. I mean, we already have a framework for some of this stuff, but, versus, piecemeal, and here it is, and here's what we're looking to do. And obviously, it's a living document, right? And I think that's the thing that we all have to understand. So it can change it, based upon priorities, so we understand that. I'm sorry, Nancy, go ahead.
No, the money that we would borrow from our own money would they charge interest on that on top of borrowing the money?
When you mean, I'm not
Like
sure.
if we borrowed 200,000, say we had, or borrowed 100,000, are they we have to pay it back, right?
That would be
No.
for the council and Board of Finance to determine how it
So
would
we
be
wouldn't
paid.
have to pay that back? I thought we had to put it back.
That was that's actually how the CIP came about, was there was bonding done for, I don't recall the project. But then,
Irrigation,
Was
irrigation and bunkers.
and so the CIP, the $1 and $2 were started to repay that money, because I arrived at the very tail end of that. The money was transferred in, and it was used to help with debt service payments. The idea behind it at that time was continue to charge the $1 and $2 and build up a fund, rather than paying the debt service, it's being used for capital items. And that's why it's been segregated
And that's
all
fine.
along.
Whatever, that's,
It's, and it is segregated, it is out there, it's completely separate. It doesn't go back to the general fund at the end of the year. The $1 and $2 you pay stay with the golf CIP fund. But again, a special revenue fund would give you the opportunity to operate that way. It does have the inherent risk that if you have the only way I see you having a bad year is really bad weather.
Well,
And the courses.
how it works is it is.
I mean, you started with a great season this year. From the spring on, you've been having a great season. And all I hear are good things, but I don't go out fishing for good and bad things, but I think it's a good course, it's in a great spot.
Well, we're gonna get to a point if we have to keep raising rates based on the budget.
people are going
We're
elsewhere.
gonna people aren't gonna go, we're pretty much at the ceiling right now.
Mhm.
We're
People
pretty
are
much
going
at the
elsewhere
ceiling.
because of the.
We'll probably have more rounds next year because we're able to keep the rates the same.
That's right. I think so.
Yeah, well,
Kevin, thank you very much for your time. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you very much for, I know it's last minute, but thank you.
thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you,
Good seeing you.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right, I know that was a kind of curveball for everybody. Audience of citizens, now, Donna, do you want to speak to audience of citizens?
No, I'm actually just here, Mark's,
Okay, so-
you talking about
For audience of citizens, there's nobody else here. Approval of minutes from July 20th. Has everybody read through the minutes?
Yes.
Does anybody have any, corrections or anything you wanna add to it? Go ahead.
It stated there was no audience of citizens, but I believe, didn't we have the gentleman from the, firehouse come and speak in
Yeah,
audience?
he's, well, matter of fact, his name was on there, so it wasn't an audience of citizens, he actually sat at the table.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really an audience of citizens, cause,
Well,
because I was,
that was an agenda item.
Oh, I didn't see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that
I'm
was-
sorry.
and his name was on,
He was on the agenda.
Herbiak,
Yeah.
yes.
You want an update on that? Cause we told me.
Oh, because he's the movie night?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I
He
misunderstood.
says he's gonna either do it October 13th or 15th, which is either a
Which is,
Friday or a Sunday. He's
Oh,
not taking it
John's
Saturday,
other
we
than,
have the night golf tournament. So he's gonna probably do it the 13th, so with 15th as like a.
okay, alright, very good, okay. Old business,
I'll make a
oh, I'm
motion,
sorry,
I'll
we
make
haven't
a
even approved
motion
that.
to approve the July.
Gail, motion to approve, second?
Second.
Peter, second, very good. So moved. Old business, geofence update, Saul.
We turned it on the other day. We've used it also for a very rough only, so it works pretty well, pretty good. Carts are stopping like where they're set to stop. Maybe we just do some adjustments on some boundaries. I have to figure out a way where, if it's rough only, are they able to cross fairways, or what do we usually do on rough only? Do they
90 degrees.
90 degrees
Yeah,
to cross?
we should allow a 90-degree crossover.
So
Well, how do you do that?
I maybe it's a quick stop and go rather than a normal boundaries, it stops longer. So I have a email / call and see what options we have for cart paths on.
So right now, the carts aren't allowed on fairways?
We used that option the other day because of weather.
Yeah.
Makes
So,
sense.
so can you set those on the fly?
Yeah.
Oh, you can, okay.
So what were the cart restrictions today?
Right now, we're doing handicap boundaries for everyone, which are all on greens.
What does that mean?
A handicap boundary is the smallest boundary, because normal golfers would have maybe another 5 to 10 yards.
Because there was a cart between the bunker and the green today on 16.
Really?
16, a lot of the ladies told me
Yeah.
they were going the right side of 16 and they were stopping.
Yeah, they said even if they tried to go on the grass,
Yeah,
the
stop.
ball,
On the right side,
they would
no.
stop.
Yeah.
Can
So-
they just repair that if they're gonna be using it? Because, if you're on that side, I think the tendency is to wanna go around that way.
Right, so that's my question, are we trying to stop people from going the right side of 16? Or,
I would say yes.
I would say
Then-
yes too.
Then they should.
I would say yes too.
Yeah,
There are we're the only golf course in the world that allows carts to drive on the par threes. That I know
yeah,
of.
there,
Most golf courses are cart path only on par threes.
And we have a nice car path on
on 16.
yeah,
Unless you
Yeah.
get to the
So it
right,
should be
then you're
used.
handicapped, if you hit to the right, you're handicapped, then you have a little
We
problem,
didn't
right?
boundary off up top near the flagpole, right?
Not yet.
Okay.
the lady that had,
That's another one I saw today.
the lady that had the handicap, the cart wasn't set up that the handicap, the cart would recognize as handicap.
Every card that went out today is computerized for handicap boundaries.
Oh, 'cause she had a lot of trouble, she said.
Well, that's what I mean, I know it's working because people are getting stopped,
Oh,
so,
okay.
but it's gonna be, I'll
And
have,
then Mark,
if I have to modify, like, them to get closer, I'm guessing, to greens.
How far, what is that set at? I mean, how close currently can a cart get to a green?
10 yards from the front, and then it narrows.
So
It's
less than
not
10
10 yards, all around.
So less than 10 yards?
Maybe on some sides, you're not inside the bunker, like on 9, on the right side, you can't go between the bunker and green, but you can go on the right side of the bunker, between the bunker and, car path.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, no carts can get on the left side of 9 anymore, huh?
Well, no, because we even blocked the tee box there for 8.
Yeah.
now, if there's a sand trap with a
Well, I'll put
grass,
you on the staff. Yeah, they can go through it.
Oh, yeah, no, I just.
I got shut off a lot the other day.
What's that? You have to give me your card number. So we can, or give the staff your card number so you turn it.
And the
It's
staff
like what
knows
they
how to
did
do
at
this?
Lyman's, right? You go to, we went in the golf shop, they gave you a card number.
Yeah.
Or you
There's a
told them
staff
the
option.
card number,
Yep.
and then they put you on the staff option so you're not blocked, so.
Does the staff know how to do this already, or?
Not yet.
I haven't seen
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is still a work in
Now,
progress,
the
right?
11 on the 11th hole, we have the sand trap there. I went all the way around. Could I have gone in front of the sand trap on the rough and then cut across, or would I have?
On the right side with the green,
Or
or I'm
just,
sorry.
just gone right straight across?
11, the left side of the green.
Well, I went up the left side all the way around, but
Yeah.
could I have just, cause you know, you're gonna go to 12 and there's the cart path.
Right.
So could you have gone on the rough one with the sand trap and then have the little, you know, path that goes up to the green? Can you cut across that or would it stop it?
I'm trying to imagine what you're saying, but like today you had handicap boundaries, so if I had normal boundaries, I don't think you could,
No,
and you couldn't go on the
and
left.
it
with normal
probably would have been
boundaries.
more than, yeah, so you can't cross over that path.
Yeah,
It's probably the biggest challenge is that the customer doesn't know.
right.
But like, you know, like at Lyman, for example, they have the screen, so it's like they show the yellow dots where the boundaries are.
Yeah, they have some
And I mean,
markers.
I don't know what we can do about it, I don't know if
Can you put something on the
I honestly don't
website?
know if there's anything.
Can you put something up on the website? Here's what.
Well, maybe what you could do is something as simple as you can't go within 10 yards of the green.
Yeah.
Just a
Well, they have
simple,
this, they have a
you
card,
know, unless you have a handicap card.
they have a card
And
that's
you
above
know what,
the,
maybe we come out with the most common problems, and then we create a card,
Right.
and we put on every other cards.
they have
Top.
directions on the card already,
Right now, it's like your
and it says,
generic instructions, but maybe soon we'll give them like 4 bullet points on like how to stay away from boundaries. Like if you're near green, you veer towards a cart path, or you know, or at least go towards the side of the cart path. Blah, blah.
there's no way to mark it, so that people know,
I think there is a way.
Paint,
Yeah,
There's
Yeah,
a lot of
it's
ropes,
something.
but you don't
Or
want
yeah.
to.
You don't get into ropes.
no,
Number 6, right, I noticed cars are going right around the green and then coming the other way on the cart path, going to the tee box for number 7.
Like going low.
Go to the right and around.
Going
Go to the
around,
right and around,
going
okay.
around the high side.
Yeah.
So is that gonna continue, they're gonna go all the way around, because what I've noticed is that it's like the turning around, there should be like a turnaround so that they can go face back to 7 again.
Well, that's what I mean. Like there, like if you go by the rule of you're near a green, you veer towards the cart path, you would be on the left side, right?
Right.
So I mean, the right lower side of 6 gets pretty muddy there. I mean, should we block that off or?
Well,
Really
sometimes
sick
there's,
when
down
you-
there's a trap down there too, right? There's a bunker down there, so if there's somebody's down in that end. And the fact that they go around is irrelevant, it's only putting reverse when you're coming back out, right, on 7.
Well, what's happening is you got carts going, one guy going around, you got another guy sitting up there on number 7 that came in the right way.
Yeah,
Gold
no, I
teeth.
You got-
This guy's playing whites.
Yeah,
They should
Yeah.
just go to the left.
going to the left.
I think that's the overall arching message, and maybe starting that card is, as much as feasible, stay on the cart path. That's what they're there for.
yeah,
And
And there's no
except
cart
if
path.
you're handicapped, there's no reason why you can't walk 20 yards. There's no fairway that's 50 yards wide.
Well, on
I agree,
16,
yeah.
on 16, I think you're gonna have a problem. We still maintain that
Maybe
that
on 16.
16 can be an issue, because it's so far off to the left, especially if somebody hits it off to the right, and you see people hitting it off to the right all the time,
Yeah, I know.
right? So that, at
So-
that point, you're like, okay,
You have to, unless you're severely handicapped, golf
Gotta walk.
involves walking.
yeah, but I disagree. No,
But
I
that's not
disagree with
really a
that.
safe cart path on the right, isn't it?
That's all right, but
That's
you're,
that's all.
no, I'm not even saying go all the way up. If they hit it to the right, you have to go drive over, you know, down to like almost like an 18, you know, in there. Somebody hits a ball in there. So what are you gonna say? You just can't limit that one to the cart path. You know what I mean? That's
I
I disagree.
I don't know, man, I play some golf courses with some pretty wide par threes, and you gotta stay on that down cart path, you gotta walk 60 yards into your ball.
I think,
You used to hit it there all the time.
I know. No more. Those days are over, my friend.
Alright, so it is a work in progress right now.
Yeah, well, we're on the cart path.
But they're on.
Well, they work too, and the other day I was
Yeah,
working on
yeah,
that
I
Frank
have
Junior
some.
stuff and I was getting shut off there.
Okay,
It's like, maybe I
I
should-
gotta email you the website and log,
Girls
Yeah, no
so
worries.
you can turn yourself off.
I was happy to see it is working well.
That's good,
Yeah.
okay.
One of the things that I tried looking for, I couldn't find it, I don't know if anybody tried. I looked online for the town site for the handicap,
You mentioned that,
and I couldn't find
the
it.
handicap one.
The rules.
The policy.
The policy that we set up. Alright, I couldn't find it. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it on the town website.
Did you find anything on that website?
Well, I tried because,
Someone asked me.
somebody's gonna ask, where's the
Where's the
policy?
I thought
We're gonna
all of our policies were up, are they still up there, or no? I haven't seen any more.
There's refund policies
Yeah.
there and
Okay,
stuff
well,
like that, but then code of conduct is out there, but I did not see anything for handicap. And I think we need to look at that, somebody's gonna challenge us on that.
Okay.
I mean, as far as getting a handicap cart or what?
Well, somebody's gonna ask questions, what's your policy for handicap?
Qualifying?
Alright, what do I gotta show that,
We spoke about
I
that.
think in our last meeting or two, we said, like a parking.
Right,
Yeah.
but we wrote them,
I
we
think
wrote
that's
these
something.
up
Yeah,
a while
we gotta
back.
find them, no, it's, we have to dig them up. Do you have, I mean, everybody doesn't mind just taking a quick gander and look to see what you have, for some of the policies that we wrote and, agreed upon,
I have all the emails.
so, it'll go back.
So maybe it's just loading it onto the website, the town website.
Perhaps.
Alright, thank you, so, new business, very quickly, Ramsey's contract.
We've started talking about a new contract, when I say we, Arosh and I. The two of us see his contract, being finalized, I would say, first in November. If it is not, then we still have a couple months to figure it out.
It's a two-way street though, I mean, you can't go last minute, right, I mean.
No, that's why, like, on my first meeting with, Arosh in September, he's gonna get a draft of, because Ramsey sent us a first proposal.
Oh, Ramsey already did it.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
so we're gonna send, Arosh is gonna see our first rebuttal in September, and then we'll give it back to Ramsey.
Okay.
Do we get to see this stuff or no?
That,
Is that our business or no?
No, I'm not sure that his contract has anything to do with us.
Not the negotiating.
Is there gonna be an RFP thing or no?
that's why we're trying to do it now, because if we can't figure out, yes.
Is he,
This whole RFP thing.
oh, wait a minute, I thought everything had an RFP. Everything, you need an RFP for everything, it has to be an RFP.
Better not do it for the end there.
Everything has to go for an RFP,
What's that?
everything has to go through the RFP process, right? And if you're gonna do that, then do it for five, I mean, let's just call it what it is, right?
That's
Mark,
what
they
I'm
do it for Mark.
saying. You're gonna cause,
You
you're
do
gonna
that with
cause quite the commotion.
Why, five with 1 year renewals or something like that, but, we went through this whole thing
Contract
with
is
Mark.
up for renewal,
Mm-hmm.
December
This is
first.
his
Does he have an option?
Is there options, there are no options for renewals.
So if he had an option.
Well,
then
that was just short-sightedness, a straight 5 year, but you always should put a couple of years for options for renewals in there.
Well, he wants 5, we're thinking like 3 with options, so, but,
Okay, whatever, okay.
So if we do a write-up for proposal, anybody on this
Anybody can
See,
bid,
commission?
anybody can bid.
Because, we talked
It has
about,
to go out to bid,
yeah.
it has to be an
but-
RFP.
Well,
but-
wait a minute,
but-
he's a,
but-
he's a, well, yeah, department's vendor.
That's right, I know.
On the RFP, we talked about things that maybe the concessionaire should add on to maybe the tent and stuff like that, or, contribute. Is that gonna be part of something?
I don't agree with the short term. Feel to me, I want something here.
You want something there for the duration, and
Yeah, and you know what, since you're gonna be here a long time, maybe we can work out, a little give and take, you help us build a structure instead of that stupid tent and, go 6, 7, 8 years, whatever. Work it out. We'll give it
Agreed.
time,
Agreed.
somebody does something, you reward them with long term. And he was willing to do a patio, he was willing to do a big patio, fenced in patio up top where the flagpole is, and they shot him down.
Really?
Yes, they did.
Really?
Okay, every other golf course has a nice fire pits, no, not us. We have
With the
metal
tent.
chairs
We have a tent.
and
Yeah, the metal chair
castle
poles.
tables.
Yeah. Well, on a positive thing though, I will say that, my wife and I had played the couples thing they were going on. And, I'll tell you what, they really stepped up the game. The food was very good. It was
Yeah.
very good. The
The
fish
dinners
was
that-
absolutely
The
phenomenal.
dinners that he has on the
He's
Friday
doing a great
night,
job,
he said
so
it's
if you guys have
excellent.
not been there lately, him
Yeah.
and whoever else is cooking, they're doing a great, they are doing a great job,
They said it was excellent on
Very
Friday
good.
nights.
so. All right, high school golf team sign, anything else on Ramsey's contract? We're good.
No, I just, I think he deserves longer.
Yeah.
Put it in
Noted.
time.
Duly noted. High school golf team sign,
Alright, I'll take the lead on this. Coach Barnes came to me maybe 2 years ago or last year, I can't remember. He thought it'd be a great idea to have a sign either in the front driveway or out front that basically just said home of the Redcoats at the state championship for the boys listed and the girls. And I mean, I thought that was a great idea because they have so many, and they're adding to it. So met with Donna, Coach Barnes, and Coach Ferrero's been involved a little bit, the boys coach, and we came up with a timeline for the project. Ideally, like if all goes well and everybody agrees we should have this and everything, we're thinking spring 2024. But we basically have a timeline. Like we need to design it, which we kind of came up with something, the three of us. The location of it we haven't really determined, and then getting a quote for cost of it and all that.
now, is that coming out of CIP funds, or
Well,
who's
it's
paying for
gonna
that?
come through donations, like
Okay,
that's.
oh, it's gonna be fully donated, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that is our plan. We just kinda wanna go through the proper ways of doing it. So we present, what we have from our price quote, the design and everything, the proof, we present it probably here first. And then if all goes well here, it would probably have to go to council, I assume, as a donation. Once they approve it, that's when we go out and we try and find the donations. Timeline for that would
Yeah.
be maybe the winter time. Seems like a good time to do that. I know some of the clubs have expressed interest in getting involved in this. I think some alumni would as well. So I don't know what the cost is gonna be. I mean, we're still kind of waiting on that.
Yeah, it's not gonna be that much if you do the mile, the big mile thing, like, it's not, but where do you guys, where do you, I know where I
Where
want.
do you think about putting it?
I know where I
Well,
want
I
to see
mean,
it.
that's all kind of like when we have the proof, we know how much it's gonna cost. We would come here and probably.
But you got some ideas,
Because you guys would need to be involved in that because it's gonna be on golf.
What do you think, where are you thinking, preliminary?
Preliminary, we were thinking like when you drive up, just past the maintenance, so get past maintenance on the right side, almost where near that bunker kind of, the practice bunker.
I'm sorry, the what?
The practice bunker on the right there.
I got it right.
Yeah.
I got it right there.
I mean,
So the maintenance driveway,
Yeah.
there's space before it and there's space right after it. There's a, the number sign, the 380 or whatever is there, it's kind of tilted, but you could put a sign there on the right side, because people driving up, you don't want them, probably not looking to the left. So up, somewhere down there, and it would, you have a nice Timberland sign coming in, and it's gonna complement from
Do you
that
remember
to this.
during COVID, we had a big sign hanging off of the railing up at Ramsey's that said 6 feet apart,
Said what?
Oh, yeah.
okay? Everybody and their brother spends time near the practice green. Right.
Yeah.
First tee, 10th tee,
I think the
you
tent.
can't miss it. You put it on the road, you're driving by, okay?
Put it on the
When
tent.
you're, next time you're at the golf course, look up at the railing where Ramsey's is. You could put a massive sign over there And it'll be, I mean, I think it'll make the place look a lot better too, because it'll hide some of the rest of the shit behind the railing.
I mean, there's a lot of, there's a lot of
Stuff.
locations.
Stuff.
Even,
I'm sorry, stuff.
even if you just drive up and like right by the putting green,
Right. That's right.
that could be a nice spot for it too.
Yeah.
You know, but look up near the clubhouse, you know, I would put it where there's a lot of eyes and a lot of time spent as opposed to just driving through. You know what I mean?
Nothing gaudy.
You know, but the idea of it, I think is great because,
Yeah.
you know,
And
we're proud of them, they're
Yeah.
proud to be there, we've got a great kind of relationship with the high school team, and the coaches and players. That I think we won't have any problem getting the donations. in
No,
various
we're already
ways.
started.
Yeah.
I think all the clubs at
Think about how you're gonna do this with the amount of wins that they have and you know.
And you're gonna have to be able
That's
to add
what-
on to it,
Yeah,
right?
and you have to be able to,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly,
It's gotta
yeah.
be-
Yeah.
It's gotta be
Yeah.
How many
something
did
that
you
has
say,
room.
Donna, that we could add on, coming out total? 12?
So for right now, the sign we're looking at is either gonna be 4x8 or 5x8. And it would have the years listed, girls, boys. The girls have 6 right now, 6 years, the boys have 9. And there'd be room enough for 16 and maybe 20 years in total.
Okay.
Good.
That's
So,
He's
I'll
dead.
be dead.
You know, there's empty
I'll
space
be
there.
dead. Well, that's fine, I
And,
agree. Good,
yeah. And
that's
so we
fine,
don't-
no, that's fine, perfect.
Great.
We should
Yeah.
have a couple of layouts, you know, for your next meeting or whatever, I'll bring them in, show you.
Good.
I mean,
just
that
wanted
just
to
adds
place
into
Yeah, no problem.
getting started.
Great
The
idea.
thing,
Okay.
the thing about where and what, the type of sign, so, you know, if we're thinking of putting it on the building, that might be a different type of sign than what, because right now, what we've been quoted for, what he's working towards is aluminum, one withstanding wind, right? And so it's aluminum sign with the aluminum posts going down all the way. And those are the best and the strongest ones to withstand wind. If it's going up in a building, you might wanna have something different. And that would be important to us to know because of cost. We know what the cost is right now, so. But
You could
so
do-
we-
you could-
so
well,
we
you
can-
know
that's-
that 6 foot apart sign was that corrugated sign stuff, that you look at the T size, it's cheap. But
You don't want something.
I'm not saying, you know, the design, it's all about the design.
It is.
It's gonna be, if you're hanging it up on the building up there, it could be made out of paper, because nobody's gonna get close enough to see the material, it's the design and how it looks, right?
And durability.
Oh, well, yeah,
Right,
that
and
stuff, that
it's-
stuff's waterproof, but not only that, but now you add a year, you get the vinyl lettering, they come out, they put it on, they peel it off, and boom, it's already there, okay? So,
That is a good one.
Again, we need to kind of define that
Give us some
very
options, that's all.
quickly, like,
yeah. Fabulous idea.
Great
They deserve
idea.
it.
Great idea.
but right now it's aluminum, but the aluminum posts, again,
That's
withstand wind.
How about just giving us a couple different options, you know, that, I mean,
Maybe
Who
the
knows?
price of the was on the building versus a price.
Well,
what,
if we're seriously thinking about that, we need to do that now, because he's working on the design and all that kind of stuff, so.
it's up to you, because it's your raising,
Well, it's,
you're raising the
it-
money.
you know, I
You're
think
raising-
it's,
you're raising
I
the
like
funds, it's
that
not
idea,
us.
I just don't know what the cost would be, or what
Yeah, so it is.
materials he would say to use up in the building.
Maybe ask him to give a quote,
Yeah.
and what would be his recommendation? I mean, he's the expert in terms of signage. I agree with Peter, that's a very visible
Go to the quote,
area.
like sign pro.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, they go with vital signs,
Yeah,
he's in town.
Is it, okay. Alright,
That's the idea, the timeline,
no, I think we're all okay, we're good with that, no, we're good with it,
Absolutely.
Yep.
That'll make, bring some color to the area too.
yeah, no, very good,
so our next meeting, hopefully we have something. that
Very good.
We can show you, start there.
alright.
Speaking of,
thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Donna.
thanks,
One
Donna.
of the meetings September 5th.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah,
Could we get a clock at Starter Shack?
You want a clock?
I want a clock that for the Starter Shack, so
It's
that
coming in
people.
November.
Well, I thought it was just that we're getting a clock.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm talking about one that's on the building
Oh,
of
just
the
a
Starter Shack, so that people know what time it is and, you
What's
know.
the point of the That's the point of the clock, it's gonna be on the back of the,
Oh.
yeah, it's a big clock,
Yeah.
on the back of the first tee.
Oh,
Picked out the
okay.
location.
All right, so
And
they'll
it's-
be able to
Are
see
there
it.
four sides, are there columns on the bottom of this clock?
Yes, but they're only about this wide,
That's
Correct.
fine,
yes.
so we could use that space. I saw, where did I see this clock? Mill River, I was just at Mill River. No, you don't need to, I mean, theirs is like this,
Yeah,
but they have names going all the way down on each four sides. $400 a pop, they spent,
A person?
you know.
yeah. Well, so,
Give the money
so
to
let's,
them.
let's,
Oh my.
Oh, it's there forever.
yeah, so, I
Until
have-
it's
I'm not gonna win
Give me
become
that.
championships, I wouldn't mind my name on the damn clock.
so the clock is gonna be positioned so you can see
Okay,
it.
good.
I mean, it's not gonna get in till December.
Next year.
Oh, no, it's December.
I'll put a clock.
I mean, a temporary, you could hang just a.
Does it have to work?
Years ago, they had a great big one that was
Yeah,
right
well, we'll have a
off
big
the,
one. It's gonna look,
Shop.
Weathersfield has, and it's actually, I sent
Yeah,
it to
I
some,
told you Weathersfield was solar, there's a solar,
the same company.
exactly.
And what I liked about Weathersfield, and I'll pass it around, is
I
the
like
other,
theirs too.
the other, yeah, I sent this out, the other thing is we need a sign to recognize all the donors, and I think there's about 12 or 15 sponsors. And, what I like, I even like the sign at Weathersfield, cause it goes along with the sign that is on the Senior Men's Club tee.
Yep.
The, you know, stone.
Weathersfield's got a great clock. Is it as big as that one?
I'm not sure if it's as tall, so here's the clock, and then you can scroll to see the,
They show it, I show it.
so there's the clock, and scroll over one and you'll see the,
oh,
stone
nice.
with the,
And that's solar?
Yeah, that's
yes,
solar.
solar.
same
You don't-
company.
you don't- the solar panels are built into the face.
There, that little black thing you see,
Right.
it's this big, on the, here, this is the solar.
You gotta think if they were willing to spend the money on that, it's gotta work.
See, that's
Oh.
the solar,
Yeah.
right
That's
there,
it?
Yeah.
and it's gonna
Why is it
say,
cheaper than
and
ours?
it's gonna say
Right.
Timberland
What's that,
Golf
Weathersfield?
Courses, and
They
the,
gotta,
and
they spent the
and
money,
then
it's
the
gotta
bottom,
work.
like you
They
said,
wouldn't be
Peter,
spent.
is, it's about,
Yeah,
yeah, you probably can use that space. My goal is to get the clock up, the sign up with the sponsors that have paid for the clock. So I'm gonna talk to Steinco, and I think I'll talk to Rival Signs too, since they're doing it.
Yeah.
And then, so if it gets,
Let's see, I'll show you.
but the pad's gonna be done this fall,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Inside the
The
clock?
pad will be done this fall, and then in the spring, we'll have the
This is
decoration.
it here, right?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
solar panel,
It's gonna inside the clock.
It's built into the face.
correct. The same, yeah, it's the same
Oh, is
company.
it gonna be in a?
And then there's
Oh,
a sign on the rock.
So you
Yes.
can
So
see
it's
it from the flag
I think it's a
pole.
little smaller than this, yeah.
The farm said something like that, they have like a rock on the first tee, or they have a flag.
And then it's one, one face.
Is it one face or two face?
That was one face. Weathersfield has one.
That's very nice, that's great.
Is it-
Ours is two.
Is it?
I think so.
I don't
It
think
is?
that price is two.
No, I didn't think it was, I thought you said it was.
I don't think it is. But so it's gonna face, you're gonna see it from the putting green, you're gonna see it from the
Where
starter
is it
shaft,
going?
on the back of the first tee. On the very back,
And where?
so that when you drive in or when you're on the putting green, you can see it. It's
Okay.
not gonna be,
So the front of it's
Like
gonna be
towards the
facing the
clubhouse.
street?
Well,
it's going to be at an angle. In other words,
Okay, I got you,
It's an
yeah, like
angle.
45, I got you.
yes,
Like if you're at the flagpole, you
Yeah.
can see
so you get the flagpole, you can see it. If you're at the starter shaft, you can
That's
see
I
it.
got you.
If you drive in, you can see it.
Perfect.
All right, very good. Number 3, patrons' actions towards staff. I put that on there. And a situation happened about a week, I don't know, a week and a half ago maybe, and where Matt Tierney was being harassed by a golfer, and he was just doing his job, and started using profanities at him, and and I think this person heard that this telling called for it, and so he actually took the next step and said, like, you know, if I offended you, I'm sorry, you know, just asking you to move this thing along. So what was happening is, matter of fact, Sebby was with me, teed off on the first hole, pushed one to the right, lost their ball, you know, and from whatever tees, it doesn't really matter. And then, you know, proceeded to come back and hit another ball, and then this person starts yelling at him, "Don't watch me hit, it's gonna affect my shot," and blah, blah, blah. But they, you know, they made up, whatever, but, you know, lo and behold, we do have a policy dealing with this stuff in the mornings. And I think maybe it's time to kind of remind people again that, and, you know, via maybe even an email blast, and, you know, the policy, it's like, listen, this is not uncalled for, it is, and it's, you know, you're doing your job, and the same thing I saw Bill, and telling, you know, doing something to Bill, and it's like, listen, he's doing his job, right? And I'm sorry, you know, you're not a member. We don't have a membership, right? You have a season pass, and it's a big difference, right? This is not a private club, it's a public club, and they're not there to, you know, be picked upon or yelled at or whatever. And I think we have to kind of remind people that it's just like etiquette. You know, treat people the way you want to be treated. That's all there is to it, right? And it's I think
Even if it
it's
was a private club.
Right.
yeah,
You don't put up with that.
no, you don't.
No,
You
you
don't. And it's just like uncalled for. And I don't care that they may be youth. It doesn't matter. And they're doing their job, right? I mean,
That's right.
so I think it's, you know, good to send out an email reminding people that's all. Just common courtesy. That's all there is to it. You know,
Yep.
don't labor and just go forward.
While we're talking about staff, I would like to commend the cart people, because these carts are coming out clean every day.
That older man that's in the mornings, he's good.
Joe?
He's good.
Joe?
Nice.
And I agree, I mean, and I think a couple of the ladies asked me who the starter was, they were there, it was Don,
Don's bomb.
top notch.
You
Don-
have
So pleasant.
Don is the bomb.
Chris, Don, I mean, you have got,
Yeah,
you
I don't
have
know
a lot
them
of
all,
good people.
but
You really do.
Yeah.
Very, very, very nice.
Yeah, Mike's another one, yeah.
Mike's a
All of
great
them,
guy.
all of them.
Pleasant,
Yeah.
the carts they look like the day they were dropped off.
You have Jessica in there, inside there, right? Is that her name, Jessica? You have Mila, and they're doing, listen,
Mila,
they're great, you have great staff, right?
Yes.
You guys can be commended on that, you know?
Mila's not a student, is she?
No, I don't think so.
She graduated high school.
Oh, so she's gonna stay though.
She's actually taking a gap year, so her last week of schedule is in a week and a half. So she's going travel Europe for a year.
Oh,
Good for
really?
her. Good for her.
She's good.
Good.
Yeah.
But hopefully she comes back next year.
Yeah.
That's the plan, you know?
No, you got good, you're
Yeah,
doing good
both
stuff,
sides,
yeah.
both counters are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's a trip. I love
Y'all forgot Mr. Green, you know, Mr. Green, he helps me a lot, so.
What Jimmy Green does?
All the sweat and tears that he puts in
Yeah.
weekly,
Yeah.
and he helps me out in the range a lot, and
Good.
even now
Well.
tonight, like,
He's setting that up.
he's setting up, you know, right
Good
mark, like,
Good man, Jimmy Green.
Jimmy Green, so, hey,
And
I love the guy too, but he's a commissioner, how does that work? I mean, I'm being serious, I
What do you
mean,
mean, how's that work?
he's a commissioner.
Okay.
Is this not a conflict of interest?
Volunteering?
Is he volunteering?
Well, you volunteer.
Do I?
Sure, you do Houston, don't you?
Yeah.
You volunteer, you get paid for that?
No.
They volunteer then, right?
Yeah.
All right, so he's volunteering.
Okay.
Right.
Listen,
No, I'm,
I love the guy, and he does all kinds of stuff up, I almost said it, he does all kinds of stuff up there.
he's actually putting his balls in the woods where he hits it all the time, so you can say he found it. Then I saw him doing that.
So we can volunteer for various
I-
opportunities up there, but I know there's only certain things we can do, because we can't do anything regarding any kind of course improvement or maintenance, correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, what could we do?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, how could we help?
I mean, if we could do that, I'm all for it, I would be there tomorrow helping out, because
I've already done that once, and you know it didn't work out too well.
well, yeah, but, so
What
we
did
The
can,
you
whole
do?
day.
Didn't work
we
out?
can help Mark,
I- 'cause
we
I
can
went
help
out.
Mark, or we can help Saul, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, so if you guys have things that we could do.
I'm an independent contractor, I'm pretty sure you can help me.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. I mean, I don't know why somebody couldn't volunteer for me, or volunteer for Remy.
Say I could cook for a bit.
uh,
You're a good cook.
We're a little different, I think.
how I'm serious though, and I'm not asking that because I'm trying to be a smart aleck, I'm asking that because, I mean, the question has come up a couple of times last year, nothing this year at all, but, you know, and I just wanna make sure that, so if somebody sees me doing something, or Gail or whoever, it's cool, I don't want it to come back to bite us in the butt.
Who would
Wait,
say
time out.
something though?
Yeah,
Like who would?
When,
That's what I would wanna know, you're just hoping, you know what I mean?
Wasn't there a problem in the past
Yes,
with,
there
with
was.
the volunteers?
Yeah.
And then they're getting, like they were on the barter system or like.
No, the other,
That was way back
that was,
with the carts.
that's
when they used to
different,
haul
yeah.
the carts
That's
up
different,
on
no,
the cart
that,
barn.
that was taken care of. I think what Peter's, kind of alluding to is the fact that the volunteering and then, you know, there was a union issue, if I'm not
Well,
mistaken.
yeah, I mean, well, you know, I mean, well, is he paying for golf? Is he paying for balls? And this is me too, because I
People
that's
would
that-
ask you, what does Peter get out of doing?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
what do you get out of doing this? Because you're here every day putting hours and hours in.
Right.
Well, I get the satisfaction of not stepping in goose crap. You know.
But you're not getting top
But
golf.
that's the question, there's that cloud over of, you know, come on, you're not doing all that for nothing.
Cut goodness they are.
That's the mindset.
Because,
I,
yeah, to be
when,
honest with you, people do wanna do stuff like that to help, but
when Jimmy Green's doing things around the golf course, I don't look at Jimmy Green as a volunteer. You know, it's the same as like when Don Main helps with the rain. You know, it's when Mark and his assistants use the range and use all those golf balls, he returns a favor and helps you pick those range balls up. So it's not, I don't think it's a volunteer thing. I think it's more of how our operations go.
listen, I'm all for it, because I do it like Jimmy, Jimmy
So
said.
it's not a
Bruce did,
volunteer
I mean, that's a,
thing.
that's a, that, I mean,
It's part of our operation.
Yeah, I'm not a focal point,
Did I
though.
say it correctly?
You know, I'm not involved in,
They can
you
volunteer.
know, Jimmy's in.
Well, then for you, not for me, I'm saying like,
Exactly, it's part of our
when
operation.
Jimmy's helping me, he's not volunteering, he's actually, it's part of what's like, how we operate daily.
Well, I think you have to be careful, so
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you can't say he's not a volunteer, because some people say, well,
there's
is he
an
getting
employee,
paid,
that's
is
right,
he
that
employed?
was
there's compensation.
So you can, I think it's if he's volunteering to help you, I think that's great, and that's a good thing, and what I think Peter and I are saying is, if there are other volunteer opportunities,
Right.
let us know, cause we do wanna help.
What kind
Well,
of
I think
things?
this goes back to, I don't think we have a volunteer program.
No.
We don't,
No, we don't.
but we, maybe
We
you
tried it.
could, or
We
you
tried.
could ask us to do things.
But yeah, I mean, I don't consider myself as a volunteer, I consider myself
Helping out.
chasing geese.
Yeah, but you are volunteering to do that,
But
no
you
one's
are.
making you
No one's
do it,
making you do that.
Yeah.
and you're not getting paid to do it,
Not
you're
at all.
doing it because you wanna do it and you wanna
Yeah.
help, that's what volunteerism is.
So if I was up at the course and Jimmy set up a tournament alright, I could help him out, you know, move some of the carts for him and.
Well, Jimmy's part of our tournament staff. Right?
Well, be
Like,
careful, so you
So this
just,
has to be understood.
be part of your
He's
staff,
not a
I
staff
think,
person.
Not my
it's as
staff.
simple as this.
It's-
In my contract, I'm responsible for like tournament setup,
Yeah.
running tournament operations. He is volunteering for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
To
great,
help set up the tournament as
Okay.
we're
That's
talking.
fine.
But I was gonna ask you, what kind of things would people volunteer to help, how could they help you?
I mean, I run the player development program, that's the driving range, so they can volunteer and help me and get balls. I run the tournaments, the leagues, men's club, women's club. Somebody wanted to volunteer and hand out scorecards, they can do that.
You need a hand, you let me know anyway. I'm not
But I'm
speaking for
just saying,
anybody
like,
else,
it's different because I'm a contractor,
Yeah,
and I'm not taking somebody's job.
Yep.
correct, I understand.
Okay, by doing that.
right, good.
So I mean,
Yeah, if you
in
need the
terms
help,
of
you should-
picking weeds and doing all that, I mean.
Yeah.
That's, no, that's, I
So I-
understand
That's
that.
separate,
Yeah, I
That's too
I
understand.
can help you out
Something
putting
like
those
that.
plastic, team setups for your junior league.
absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely, I don't see why not, whether you're a commissioner or not, you're just helping.
Good, okay.
I mean, if we wanna work together as a team, we should all be helping each other.
Yeah.
Which we do, right? We don't,
Yes.
we don't consider, you know, he doesn't consider my staff different from his staff, and I don't consider it his
Agreed,
staff from
but
my
I think
staff.
the semantics are important, because a staff member is a staff member who gets paid. A volunteer
Yeah.
is someone who does not get paid and is
Yeah.
helping.
Well,
But volunteer also gets
Yes,
nothing in
there
there.
you go.
Yeah, it's
My
not a barter system, right?
Right.
No,
Would fall
no.
under my umbrella.
Right, it's
My volunteer,
someone who's
yeah.
willing to help out of,
The phone on March 7th, when I've called a couple of times on Friday tea time, I could hardly hear him. John.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like, really could hardly hear him.
yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if he's hearing me that well, but he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's excuse me, something I have to look into. You're not the only one that has said something. So.
New phones, is that what it is?
Is it Frontier?
Phone?
I
It's
said
not
about
that hard, it was
Frontier.
clear, but I mean, maybe you're having.
Yeah, I'm just like,
No, I've had it.
I've heard the
Yeah, I've had it where it's really, really low and
Yeah,
there's a static
it
in the
sounds like
background.
he's like,
phone.
Yeah. Lately it's been good though. Lately it's
yeah,
been good.
it seemed like the last time it seemed better.
I
So
hope
I
it's
don't
not
know
the
if
actual
they-
phones, because we just.
No,
I don't
it's
know
the
if
line, it's the line.
if it was fixed, so but, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let you know if it continues.
Next.
Next is, return, we kind of spoke of this earlier, but, returning, revenue back to the golf course and long-term planning. So, when you saw you're gonna set a meeting up for the long-term planning, and we have the CIP, for the course, we have a 5-year plan that we all have it, I can send that out again to everybody, I've got like 5 different ones. We have a 10-year plan, we have a 5-year plan, and, people kind of forget about these things, but it's a living document, and I think that we need to, Sal's gonna set up a meeting with, Kevin and Aroche and Jerry Parrish is actually gonna be there too, that, kind of whiteboard everything, so we'll have input from everybody, and from everything from, bunkers and car paths to maybe even, a new clubhouse. Everything, will be on there. It's just a whiteboard, and it's just a living document. But bridges do come into play again too, and so does a lot of other things. So it's like, but it's looking down the road, and it doesn't, obviously, we're gonna reprioritize things as you go along, right? I mean, things come up. The pump house, Kevin spoke about that earlier. My question is are we putting a Band-Aid on it, or is it, is this, at the end of the day, let's just call it what it is. Is this a Band-Aid approach to something, or is this gonna last now for how long?
This is the fix.
That was the
This is
fix.
fix.
So the infrastructure itself is
The brain.
sound. I don't care about that, that's fine, but the infrastructure, the whole infrastructure, does it, do we need new heads? Do we need to redo the lines? Are we going for the most efficient thing for dealing with the water?
That's work in progress. I mean, you're gonna have leaks.
Well, no, I'm just saying,
No, but
you
for the
have
actual
more,
pump house, this expenditure was made to, so you didn't have to the next whatever years.
I'm talking about efficient use of water.
Too.
Yeah.
Like that. A lot of
I saw the contractor out there today working on.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
because
because they're trying to get it, fixed or, finished.
Treating the ponds is getting a little bit, it's gonna make the water flow a lot easier, I would think, too.
I have one comment as a follow-up to what we talked about earlier, and this is, I'm really looking to you, Sal, to let us know, when these meetings are happening, like September 5th.
Yeah.
Because what I gathered from what was said is we have to be present at these meetings and these town hall, the town council meetings, so we need to hear when something's coming up on the agenda so we can plan and be there.
And I think we should also try to rally the troops for, the Lady Niners, the 18 holers, the men's club, the senior men's club, because if you fill it in, I mean, people believe in, numbers talk,
Yeah.
right?
No,
And they do
agreed.
talk, and all of a sudden people are,
September 5th was in Jerry's report.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Yeah, I did, I'm not gonna be here, so.
Yeah.
I won't be there.
We will.
Good, great.
And I'm picking up with, and this sounds like a broken record, and it's saying over and over, but, I picked up on what Kevin talked about, earlier. Mention the ordinance meeting, alright? we gotta start pushing again for that. And, you know, and we gotta push the council to have that ordinance meeting, so we can have that discussion.
What are they stalling?
So, Jim, I'm looking for you to push that with
With the ordinance?
with the ordinance.
They said they were gonna change it.
I don't
They
know.
were suggesting going
They
to
were
a 3-year average.
The 3-year average,
It was
correct.
suggested, it was suggested.
But none of
I'll
that
tell you
came in
what,
that
I'm
one.
gonna fight like hell, if we have to raise our rates 1 penny, I'm
No,
gonna
well,
fight like
I
hell.
think we're all in agreement with this thing. I think as we go forward, we'll see that the rounds are down. We're down 500 rounds last month. Right.
Come back next year.
I'll bet you that's the
We're
law.
down, but we were down 500 rounds from the year before, right? Weather's been pretty good this year, right?
But that's okay, let's play better for the golf course, if you're making money, you're making money.
But we're not making
you
money,
can't
we're losing money.
continue to do that.
We lost money this month, right? We lost, yeah, sure you did.
One month.
But
One month.
I don't know.
I looked at this, hold on. Oh, I think, I'm sorry, okay, I take that back, 33, I'm sorry, that's my fault. Yeah, I was looking at,
What's the range
Money
made
in July,
this
maybe
year?
January.
the range itself,
Like 21,000 revenue. They get a lot of
I
money.
don't have it from the year before right here, it says 3,500 this fiscal year. This fiscal year, this
But that's
fiscal
only
year.
one
So
month.
that's 1 month. What did
I
it
have
know?
last
We're like around 17.5.
Here, driving range.
So we did make money,
Well, this
That's what I
is,
thought. I mean,
yeah, I'm sorry, I looked at
but it's
something
only
different altogether.
14,000.
Good.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at year-to-date June fiscal year 22 to 23, which is the end of our fiscal year. Driving range revenue is 14,000.
How much
14,000.
for the last that's for this fiscal year, right?
No, this is for
Or last,
January.
actual last fiscal year.
January
Last-
through June,
Last fiscal
Fiscal year.
year,
Okay, so,
because we only had it.
Yeah,
We're 17.5 in July.
we only had it for
oh,
half
that's
a
pretty
year.
good.
Yeah, I mean, we've only had it since March.
Right. So March through June was 14,000.
plus another 30,
March through June of 2023.
plus 3,500, right?
No, that's this fiscal year.
That's this fiscal, so I know, for the season.
For the season,
Oh, for the season, yeah, the season, yeah, okay.
I would
So
love to
Mar-
see numbers seasonally.
Well.
March through June, okay, it's 14.
I mean, I thought last month we lost a lot of days because of weather.
Yeah, I
Lost
think
some
so,
events.
You're looking at July.
It still looks like we were up on
This is
rounds
last
and
year.
revenue.
Our fiscal
Wait,
year
Mark had his
ends
in there.
I'm reading March, I like March,
23.
the bottom
So
one.
March, because it was just the season.
Well, March, I think it was down 500 rounds, right? Are we down 500 rounds in here?
We're up
You're looking
15,
at-
almost 1,500 rounds over the year.
No, in July, what was July?
We're down in rounds in July.
Well, yeah, but look at the weather.
That's what I'm saying, the
Yeah.
weather.
That was
How many men's club events?
I
I
think
think
that was
two
100%
are-
weather.
July wasn't a great month for weather, from what I saw.
It wasn't.
The heat, and then you got the rain.
We got rained out,
Oh,
like
I know
Leeds
the
got rained
Yeah.
out a lot.
Yeah,
I think 2 men's club events got rained
and even
out.
when it wasn't raining, it was like really wet.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't mind less rounds as long as the money's there. Why
We can
would
see our revenue per round is up like $3 a round, that's a lot.
That's,
So can this commission put in a formal request to the town council or to, the town clerk to get an ordinance ready to go?
I don't see why not. I don't see why not.
Can you do that?
And then we could go to the ordinance meeting, but we have to have something concrete in our hands, what we're gonna have them request. This is what we're looking for, right? So, you know, tell me what you wanna do, and then we'll write something up and give it amongst ourselves, edit it, and then, and bring it in front of them here to make their presentation.
I think Roche had the idea of potentially a 3-year
The
rolling
3-year,
average.
that's what Mark said too.
That's kind
Yeah.
of simple.
I mean, I was just chiming in, I think I'm a little worried that the golfers are gonna start to realize that they're funding the town.
Boom,
Well,
Right.
that's what I
Just
said
being
before,
straight, like-
listen, we know that.
We have a lot of great things that have been up there, tradition, men's club, leagues, women's, like, we have so much, but other places are doing bigger, better things. Just being honest, than we are. Like in certain, like Rockledge, I think they're looking into building a new range, like really upgrading their driving range. You saw what Stanley's done, Hunter's got
We're not-
GPS
we're not-
screens
yeah.
on their cars.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean, like,
You know what, but this is a long-term project, that sounds great that we're not gonna compete with Stanley with the rain.
no, I get it, but other places that are public are doing this in
We
our
are
area.
investing back into their,
Yeah.
their.
And if
Yeah,
we
we
had
all
the
understand
money,
that.
we could do some of these
And
things.
we had how much money? in the
4
past?
years, 5 years
I
now we've
know,
had this,
that's
so
what the
it's-
frustration is.
Yeah, listen,
Like,
I,
what could we have done with
that's what I said
Exactly.
earlier, so. Truly understand.
Be careful what you wish for.
I agree with you, Peter, I do, I agree 100%.
Why would you,
But
Why
just
would you
by
question
by
that?
doing better budgeting in terms of better
That-
expenditures, which I think next year, you know, Sal's been here and now can see and monitor the budget, we could have spent,
yeah, spend it before they get it, you know?
spent,
You know where I stand on that.
we should spend the money that were allocated.
And I have a question, I mean, and I'm not against cutting trees, because really, the capital improvement, how many thousands of dollars of capital improvement money went to cut trees over the years? And how is cutting a tree a capital? That's,
Operation.
That's operational.
Well, if it's dangerous, it should
no,
be
no, no, no,
operational.
no,
I'm
no,
saying it
should be
but
operational.
but this is a capital, this
Yeah.
is called a
Yeah.
capital improvement.
It should all be operational. Those
I
are
agree.
operating expenses, and they are.
Okay, so
Just like
change the
mowing the
name of
lawn.
it, because there are certain things that we couldn't do with that money. If you recall, Kevin said no, because this says has to be spent on capital. How is cutting a tree capital? That's not capital.
It's not,
Operating.
that's not part of the operating.
So how are we able to spend money on that and we couldn't get uniforms for the kids? That, you know, remember, because that was something we wanted to spend capital improvement money on?
Go for the staff.
Again, that's
Yeah.
it's operating, those are all operating expenses, so, and
And we have the money.
we have the money to do it. The problem is that you had individuals who were in charge of that had no financial background whatsoever, didn't wanna hear anything, because I did offer more than once to help them with that.
My
And-
thing is, my
So-
question
so-
is, what is capital? Well, I mean, what?
Capital is something that's gonna have a lifespan of more than 5 years or something to that effect, that's exactly what, you know, it's already written out in the
But you're
statute.
missing my point. We're spending that money on cutting trees. That's not a capital.
Well, it
expense.
shouldn't be capital, why we spend, it's not capital,
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
operating expenses. I don't know why we're calling
So
it.
then, I would like to rephrase this CIP fund, capital improvement, and see if we can just put it into a, if we need something, we can go outside of. You know what I'm saying? We need mulch, we can't get mulch with CIP money. And I'm just using mulch, we want to get flowers for around the tee boxes and all this other stuff, can't use CIP money for that. But yeah, you could cut a tree, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, that makes no sense, but
That's my point.
you have,
Yeah,
you have more money than you know what to do with over the past 4 or 5 years, let's just call it what it is, right? I mean, there was only 1 year, Gail, that you said we had like a $1,500 loss, right, if I'm not mistaken? Every other year, we're showing a profit, so
I got it.
why wasn't that money reinvested into the course? So listen, we're gonna get past that, it doesn't matter, right, but it doesn't matter, it is what it is, we need to look at this going forward. Ball's in your court, right? Eyes are on you right now, everybody's eyes are on you, right? So, and I had to deal with this thing. As far as beautification goes, listen, the signs, you still have those signs, and it's like, what are we doing with the signs? You know, who's gonna take that, who's taking that thing over, where does that fall? You know, I mean, guess what, you're the new guy, it falls on you, right? So it's time to re-up, right? Let's just call some of this stuff what it is, so it's like, things have been status quo for the last couple of years, and it has, you know, flying under the radar, and you've been making money, so now it's time, like, you know, you're the new sheriff in town, man, that's you.
It's an election year.
but why?
I got an idea though, can I just say
Yeah.
something real quick? It's outside the box, I don't even know if you can do it. Right now it's $1 for 9 and 2 for 18. cap that goes into that capital. What if you made it $2 for 9,
Great.
4 for 18, and it pulled from the revenue, which we're obviously making a ton of that. So there's a way to just keep
Nah,
it
that's, I wouldn't be raising the, right now, our rates are high enough as they are.
No, you don't have to raise the rates. What I'm saying is you take from the actual green
Oh, I'm
fee
sorry.
and you bump up the capital that goes into this account. So instead of $1, so if the rate's $30 grease fee and it's an 18 hole, that's $28 to revenue and that's with the capital improvement. So why not make it 26 to revenue and $4 to the CIP?
Well, you have to do that for next year and look at that.
But I'm just saying, like, if we're making this much money that we're never gonna see and we keep talking about it,
Yeah.
we know
Well-
we have the capital improvement
Listen,
account.
it's
Yeah.
not,
See
it's
what I'm
not,
saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's a way
it's
for you
not,
to
no,
keep
we
it-
just
keep
didn't
it
spend the
double
money.
your
We didn't spend the money. Let's
We
just
had
call it what it
the
is.
money,
is.
we have to spend
But you
it.
had the
When are we gonna
opportunity,
run into that?
but you had the opportunity to. You just didn't do it. And you had the opportunity. You could have transferred some of that money. You could have transferred to a CIP, right? You could have put that money.
I don't know if you could
I don't
transfer
think
that
you can do
CIP.
that.
Yes, you can. You
Sure
can. Oh,
about
yeah, because I used to do
I
it
mean,
at
I
the
don't
state.
know, but
Well, no,
I
but
was
the
able to
state,
change
not necessarily the town of Berlin.
I
But it
think
doesn't matter, right?
it's much cleaner if it's just $2
But
for
you
9,
can- you-
4
you-
for 18, go
You know,
into this
between
account.
PS and OE, I could always,
It's
you
like,
could always
you know,
move that stuff around.
I can't.
$50,000, you know,
What I do know is that we can't allow that to happen again.
true.
No.
So
Because the golfers gonna,
there'll be a revolt.
yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Kevin, yeah, I'm sure Kevin gets it. You know,
Well, he understands
I
it.
mean, we're setting rates before the budget's even finalized and everything else. That's why we should be working on a prior year. All our numbers should be based on prior year or years and not what's coming up.
Listen, you can't lose, if you think about it, you can't lose money because right now, the expenses that we dealt with for the first 6 months, the rates, the rates that we put in place for this year, for the first 6 months, dealt with the prior year's budget. You can't lose money. It's like the biggest scam going, right? If you think about it, because you only have 6 months in the current fiscal year, right? And I'm going to raise the rates again come next year, and
That's right.
supposedly to cover the costs that are not going to go into effect until the following fiscal year. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
We've been saying
It's
this
like-
since two
Oh,
thousand
no,
seventeen.
we know that, but it's just like talking, well, you know, whatever. All right, going forward. State grant for Cart Barn. Well, we're back into the same thing.
We talked about that.
Yeah, okay, and it's, you know, there is you know, Alex Williams, which is, Scott and, Carmela's son writes grants for the city of New Britain. I mean, listen, you know, even if it does pro bono work or you say, I wanna contract you out from another town, can I do it? What can you do for me? I mean, I can give you their phone numbers, you can get in touch with them and just.
Well, we have a grant writer that maybe Salazar, I mean,
I-
probably didn't even know that this person existed. Or did you?
Jim Mahoney.
That's the grant writer?
Yeah.
Oh,
Alright,
so
well.
maybe
He
you,
lives in Maine.
okay. Have you ever spoken to him?
How do you get a hold of
I
it?
spoke to Chris Hedges a couple months ago about doing something like that. He said Jim Maloney would help out if we wanted.
No,
So I would reach right out.
then we have to reach out.
Every time I see Eric Stewart, I answer, like, can we borrow your grant writer for a month?
No, it's Alex, I know that for a fact.
I know some towns have their own, like,
Well, we apparently have one.
well, he's not ours, I think he's more of a.
It's a contractor.
He's a contractor, but if we want him to do something.
Yeah.
Let's ask him to do something and have the town pay for it.
Or talking to Britt to see if we can borrow that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? That's all. And he's listen, he's a Berlin kid,
Oh, really?
so, yeah,
Oh.
nice to coach him.
All right.
Home, the railing on 12,
Yeah, that was just, some of the ladies won't use those stairs because it doesn't have a rail.
So they just walk up the grass hill?
Yeah, I guess they do.
Oh, that's-
I think by code, you don't have to, it's a certain number of stairs, right? You don't have to have
Correct.
that's what it was, so.
So they find walking up the grassy slope safer than walking upstairs? That doesn't make sense.
Apparently, I don't know.
I mean, cause the grassy slope doesn't have a rail, does it?
No,
No, I
there's
mean, I don't
there's no
know
railing whatsoever.
at what point they're going off, but this is what I was told, that
So we're talking those, is it 3 steps? Two.
But there's steps on the other side.
Really good.
There-
Wait, you want a railing, there's 2 steps, they want a railing?
This is just, I'm the messenger.
Take the club, put it upside down.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
That's a good idea.
Turn it upside down, use the grip.
It's,
That's a good idea.
Chip, I swear to God, I was gonna say the exact same thing.
Yeah,
Take 2 of them, they go ski.
I don't know, you know, this was
Whatever,
what
okay.
that's.
you brought it up.
Yeah.
Okay, P and L for July, I misread that, I'm sorry, we did make money, okay,
Good.
and saw I just saw the fertilizer piece in there. Did we pay $125,000 this month? Like 124? Did I read that right, Saul, or no, did I not? Fertilizer this month. Budgeted, so we. Where's my P&L?
So that's the things we order in October, that comes in with like a July 1 bill.
Yeah,
Usually it's paid in August, but it was paid this month.
okay, so that's what it was, it's usually paid in August, it was paid in July, okay, so that's what, okay, fine, that was my question, okay. Fair enough, that was my question to you when I.
Next month you might see.
The variance will be the difference, that's not a problem, okay, that's fair
Where's
enough.
the, on the P and L, where's the profit line?
Down below,
Yeah,
first column,
Net income, 126?
minus.
I got budget, right?
Revenue of 208, right?
Revenue of 208 and expenses of 335, so you had a loss of $126,000,
Right.
like I said.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't get the, it's really good money. But
We
it's
didn't
only
make
1
money.
month, yeah, thank you. I
Well, I know that. That's what I tried to say before, but okay, but the biggest variance there, Gail, is that
The
the 121,000, right? So if you have a $4,000 loss again, you know you're a $5,000 loss right there. You're still in the same ballpark,
Plus you have one of my half payments in there too.
but that's okay. And
Which is twice a year.
but it was in there last year also, and your half payment went down by about $25,000, right?
I know.
So, but yet fringe benefits went up by $40,000, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay, thank you for that.
yes, no, so we did lose money. We didn't make money, like I said originally. So I think going forward, Saul, I think, you know, you have to keep keep it close to the vest for the first couple of months, 6 months, and then after that, you'll have a better idea where things stand. You can't lose money. You really can't lose money, because we raised the rates and hopefully we won't have to raise them again, because we can't. We're gonna price ourselves out of the market. We really are.
Yeah.
And more people are saying that we can't, you know, it's cheaper to go somewhere else, even though it's $5-10. It doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, it adds up. And they're saying the car is too expensive. I'm hearing that over and over
Oh,
again.
yeah.
You hearing that too?
Mhm.
So, these are again, all things that we need to think about, but I think going forward, we do with that ordinance and say, you know, look on a 3-year average, you have that ability, and that's why I think, you know, and Peter and I agree with Peter on this one, you know, be careful what you ask for with that special revenue fund, because, you know, if you don't cover your costs at that point in time, then you still have to pay it back, right? It's no different than an enterprise fund.
So, well, that's what I don't understand. So if we had that special fund where they put it aside and we took from it, we have to put it back?
No, when you lose money operationally, you have to pay
Oh,
it back.
okay, all right.
Mr. Jim. It's like that deep horizon, Mr. Jimmy.
Do we, when we had, shortly after the COVID kind of ended, but still people were skeptical and wanted to take a single car, we had an additional fee. Are we still charging that?
We're supposed to be,
If they
I don't-
want their own card.
but the thing
But
is,
who's monitoring that?
nobody's monitoring
Can I
that, because
finish?
I had ladies
Are you
that
guys sure?
had.
Are you sure no one's monitoring that?
Yeah, because they had,
I know early in the year,
I mean, that,
Peter would
that,
tell me there's an extra card, fine.
the
But
cart
now,
guy,
if
the
they have an extra
starters,
card, the starter will tell me, and then we charge them.
Okay.
cause I
Good.
know there was a lady that
There was,
said no, she was gonna go alone, so. they- Sorry, Bill.
I was trying to make
Good
the
thought.
point, because the starter was, I was there when the starter was asking people to double up, and they have told him that, you know, they won't do it. And he
Yeah.
doesn't know
Yeah.
some of these people,
So-
so I'm not so sure that,
Where does
It's
where
happening.
does
Said
it
no?
go from there?
yeah, they won't. Because apparently some of the reasons are, they're still concerned about respiratory illnesses and they wanna ride alone. And if they wanna ride alone and we have a car
Pay.
policy, they have to pay.
Yeah.
But they're not.
What if they say, no, I'm not gonna pay it?
Well, then they can't
Well,
take
then
the
guess
car
what?
by themselves, they have to double up.
Sorry.
Or we refund them the money that they paid and they can exit the premises. You know, you can't,
But I mean, if they're
I would
out,
like to go to that extent.
No,
Well,
you're absolutely
it's
right,
not-
though,
it's
but-
not that difficult,
but rules are
other than,
rules.
Yeah.
you know, they have to pay because, you know,
Here's the
your team is doing the right thing, they're asking people to, I was actually with a group, my group, and they both came down to the T, and I said, guys, you really need to share a cart, and then the starter came down and asked them, and they did. Which, I mean, it
Yeah,
isn't my job to
that's
do
not
it.
really,
What?
that's not, I mean, that issue has gone down
Yeah.
tremendous, these guys are starting to get it. and-
one thing that the starter did, when this lady said no, she was riding alone, I know that she hadn't paid extra,
I
he
know,
did
that's
take her name. Now, what?
Was there anybody else riding though?
Yeah,
Oh,
another single cart.
Oh, okay, well.
Yeah,
And he
some
had
people
just
don't wanna go along.
refused, but he did take her name. What happened after that, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we let
Yeah.
one person slide, then there's another, and then it's another, and where do you draw the line?
Exactly.
I will say this would not happen at Stanley at all. At all, I mean, they have to go right past that booth to get to either side, and nothing, I mean, our guys are very polite.
Yeah, I felt bad for
Okay?
the starter.
There are other
because-
courses where they're not so nice, okay? So we go above and beyond trying to be everything to everybody. Sometimes you just can't do it, sometimes you just gotta put your foot down.
But if they took her name, what did they do with that?
Hope it's on my desk.
I'm taking names.
Yeah, and they would have to,
Yeah. I mean, there's probably some fights my staff doesn't like to do.
I mean, you know, if somebody
And
sits there and
this probably
absolutely,
falls on.
absolutely
so,
refuses, what do they do?
They'd have to go to Saul.
Yeah, they should,
They shouldn't,
Well,
they
it's
shouldn't
early
be
in
fighting
the
the
morning
fight.
and
No.
correct.
They're
But they
not
should've-
getting paid to
yeah,
fight,
they
to fight
definitely
And
the
I,
fight.
I suggested to the starter after these people left the starting area that he may wanna discuss it with you, I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe he didn't.
I know her name, if they don't give you.
Yeah.
Planning and zoning.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of them.
Planning and
Oh,
zoning.
it's,
I don't know.
Maybe on the side of the building, I think.
Yeah, oh,
yeah,
the
all the
meeting?
way through the
Yeah,
lobby.
all the way through.
Here, I'll show you.
Meeting right now.
We'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna remind the ladies too when I send out weekly.
Everyone's got an excuse.
Yep.
Until we say okay,
Mhm.
or we
right.
say get out of here.
But the
I think I'm
starters,
gonna say okay most of the time.
Here, give him a mask. Here.
Huh?
Put
Yeah.
a
yeah,
mask.
that's
I don't know,
right, that's right,
Right?
yeah.
What's the matter, Mark?
Give him a mask, right? Like,
We gotta, we had to do it fast for 18 holes.
It's tough with the amount of people we have, you're gonna run into that,
Of course you are.
you know?
Of course you are. All right, open discussion.
None.
Just wondering, I looked at the video last week, because, last month, because I couldn't, be here at the meeting, but you talked about a net between the driving range and hole 18.
Mhm.
Has anything progressed from that?
Should I?
You know how tall that's gotta be?
No, you talked about a 10-foot net, last
You're
time.
not talking about,
Through the trees.
no,
No,
we
you
were talking about, from the driving range to the parking lot, not the 18th.
So the-
The
Oh,
whole.
Oh, I thought
It's
you
a
were-
bunch.
Oh, I
You're
thought
You're
you were
talking,
going
you're
down
talking
the
about
street.
just behind, we were talking about just behind the arborvitae's that are to the left of the driving range, of the mats.
Yeah.
To prevent the ball, to prevent it from going to the tree and like onto
Yeah,
the
yeah.
18th green.
People, some,
Yeah.
believe it or not, someone in our league, their car was hit
Yeah.
by somebody from the range.
I don't,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
doubt
Yeah,
it.
how do you do that?
They had to go
I believe it.
like that
I
way.
Yeah, I mean, they cut down all those trees, you can just, there's no protection now.
Well,
That's
I-
why when I drive up that hill on 18.
No,
yeah,
they're
worried.
they're in the top parking lot, parked.
Yeah,
They're co-
Yeah, and there
well,
were.
if you're a lefty, or if you just
Yeah.
pull it as a righty, it could hit a tree.
And
kick
one
it
of
up.
the very last spot up there is now no parking. Is that because it's dangerous spot with golf balls, or why is that a no parking now?
I don't know, I saw that.
I saw that, I thought it might be a
Yeah.
good idea.
I think it's a great idea,
Yeah, I saw that.
but I'm wondering what
Reason.
the
I think you need a net in there. I mean,
Yeah,
I think you need a net in there. It's
But
only a
chain
matter of
link
time
fence of
where
some sort?
somebody's gonna be walking up
But
18,
a
somebody's
10-foot net is more than
some lefty, not me, is
But
gonna
right
shank
there,
one.
during that short
And
span.
it's gonna go right through it, it's a, I'm telling you.
no, their car got hit, I couldn't believe it, I said, man, how the fuck hit you there, but
Oh, I
Just to
can
the
see
left
that.
of the bunkers?
he talked about on the.
Here's the driving mats,
Yeah.
right, and here's the range, or I'll look at you, here's the range, you're coming this way on the range.
Yeah,
Here's the mats,
yeah,
here's the row of those,
arborvitae's, yeah.
Yep.
put the net right behind
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You could extend it maybe 20 or 30 feet beyond that.
Yeah, 20 or 30 feet beyond that would be helpful.
Yeah,
Because if you're in that bunker, you're
Right.
vulnerable.
You're
Yes.
talking about the
Yeah.
other side.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
you're
probably-
right, both sides
Both
should be.
sides.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
actually
both
now
sides.
on both sides.
Yeah.
Both sides.
Both
But,
sides.
I mean, mostly we were talking about the arbor.
Right, yeah, but
Yeah,
I think extending it, and I agree with you, it doesn't have to be, super.
No,
Just
you're right.
enough
If
so
you're in the bunker,
Yeah, if it can go over the net, it should be able to go over your head.
Correct.
Yeah.
correct,
And 10 foot's probably fine.
I would,
That'd be CIP,
What's that?
that would be CIP.
Yeah,
Yeah, it would be.
absolutely it would be.
yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
I would think that would be.
He was joking, by the way.
Oh, I know, I
You
was.
see him wink.
To me, it's a safety issue, so it should
It's
be.
a
Yeah,
safety
operation.
it's operation.
It's
It
operation.
is CIP,
Yeah.
no, it's
No,
CIP.
anyway, I think it's
Bill,
a,
are you talking about down the fairway or the same spot?
I was talking farther
You're
down.
talking-
Oh, no,
Right.
no way, no, that, you can't
You're
afford
talking
that.
about the entire hole, basically.
Not the entire
If you're
hole,
playing the
but
left, you're playing 18, the
further
left
down,
side.
when you hit that first, row of trees. After the cart path.
No, that net would have to be 50, 60 feet high.
Yeah, well,
You're
yeah.
talking a million,
I'm not
million
talking
Don't
about
take
one
those
like
trees
Stanley does,
At
that's.
least
No,
up on that
that's part
side.
of the hole.
Yeah.
That's part of the hole.
That's a $500,000 back then, we said, no.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
probably.
Well, even at Stanley, the balls escape.
oh, yeah, but.
You know where they
usually go
put the
under.
trees down on number 1, down by the
The left,
drain?
yeah.
They got, this poor lady, or whoever lives there, it's all exposed her whole yard.
One or eight?
Oh, one?
Eight.
You're talking about eight.
About eight.
Well,
Eight?
8?
First of all, there's no.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about 8,
Yeah.
you're right.
Nancy,
Yes.
Oh,
Get
Well,
the
that
coffee.
tree came down on its own, right? That tree
That
came down on its own.
Nancy, we played that hole, and 20 minutes later, we saw this police tape on it. So, and it wasn't cut, so.
Prevagen.
baboon.
They have a golf course view now.
Yeah.
Yeah, number 8, anyway,
Hold on.
Somebody going in and
Are
out,
they
but it
gonna
doesn't
leave
look
that
like
open
it's
like that?
Which part of these at?
That,
let me
But
tell you,
it-
coming down,
On the right?
on the
on
right
the
hand side.
right, yeah,
You
they
know what,
were,
if they don't want that view, they can put a fence up.
Yeah.
yeah,
Seriously, why would you
Did you
want to
stock
use
your
golf
range
course?
those balls that you found in there too, the 1,000 balls?
oh, there was a lot of ones there.
Yes, sir.
Hole number 2, left side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awful there with all the rocks
I
and.
think this all goes into the
It's
5-year.
in our long-term plan.
Yeah, it's in the long term, but there's something's gotta be defined so that people know, some people say, well, you're only gonna move it 2 club lengths to the right. Some say, oh, it's up to the wall, you know. there's gotta be something that's definitely defined, saying if you're in the rock area, put it on grass,
Pro?
alright? You know, it's,
So,
you're
for
really close.
for competition, I mean, people are out there just recreationally, right? So they don't care. They'll play it, they'll move it, they don't care.
Right, for
men's club
competition.
events and women's club, we have it in the rules. that
We
you
do.
can Move it.
You move it at one club length,
Yeah,
If
but
you're
what
on a
club,
rock or a,
no, not
No,
true.
anywhere in there, it's just like, that's
Anywhere?
why I gotta
Anywhere
work.
from the rough line to the wall.
Yep, that's like,
oh, that, we haven't been playing that.
No,
Well,
we
I
haven't,
mean-
we haven't either.
We've been
if you're in
playing,
a league on Monday nights, your league can make a local rule.
Yeah.
You know, there doesn't need to be.
I tell the guys I'm playing with, the people I'm playing with, money, if you're in there, just give yourself a lie, don't ruin your club, don't get hurt. If it's
right,
more
well,
than a
you're not
club
gonna
length,
get
it's-
hurt
yeah.
or ruin your
Yeah,
club
it's
if
just,
it's
that
on a
doesn't
bare
make any
spot.
sense.
so let me,
Right.
Or you hit a tree and it comes right back.
explain to me what you mean by that, one club.
You can put your hands on the ball.
Seen it.
If you're in the rough on the left of two, from the rough line to the wall, you get one club length, you can put your hands on the ball and place your ball within a club length.
But there's all rocks there, there's all rocks.
You gotta find it, you
You
gotta
can find it.
You can find it, you can find it, and listen,
Yeah.
just one club length that doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna give you a nice fluffy line on grass, but
It
it
may
will
be a
get,
bare
it will get you,
That's
it will
fine. I
get
can
you out
agree
of
with you, because
trouble.
there's no
It'll
rock.
be off a rock.
It'll
It'd be off a rock, it'd be off a root,
That's
that's
correct.
what you're saying.
That's
If you're-
great.
if you're-
I
if you're-
understand
if
now.
you're-
A lot of rocks there.
If you hit it that badly and you're that far left,
Well, you can,
slice?
No, I don't pull it on that hole.
no, we're playing it if it's on a bare spot, because you potentially have to move it to a bare
but you
spot.
could move it to a bare spot as long as there's no rocks there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's how
We
we're
just
doing
don't,
it.
we don't want people
You could also
getting
take an
hurt.
unplayable lot, you always have that option.
Well, yeah,
Someone
okay.
chop down.
That ain't happening.
You're
Correct,
in the trees. I
correct.
mean, I hate to be the
That's
guy
not
here,
Absolutely.
No, but right
That's
where,
That's, and that's two club lengths.
That's
where
what the
we have the
USGA
white line,
The USGA
where we
did not
have the
play a
white
special rule
line
there.
for the, what do you call it, for the
They just
carts,
play
when
the
it's wet.
playables if they
Right.
need to.
Alright,
They
that
don't
whole
really
area
matter.
is all rocks. I
If
mean,
you're-
That's also a cart path.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is,
so-
it is.
So there's your drop right there.
But it is up to if you're in a league, your league can
Right.
have a local rule. Anybody, any organization can.
I'm just talking about the men's club.
Yeah,
Talk
oh,
about
yeah.
that.
Alright,
We used to have that on 5 too, no more on 5.
alright, anything else, up
No,
for discussion,
no.
good, alright,
Reports.
very good.
I read
Well,
them all,
well,
no question.
CIP balances and encumbrances, this, before
Sorry,
we
my
did that.
CIP's on there, we were having software issues during the week.
Oh, you mean the amount?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
emailed
Okay.
everyone,
There we go,
I'll email
so-
everyone
How much is
tomorrow.
it?
I,
Oh, you don't know,
yeah, not talking.
500,000.
alright,
I wish
you'll
it-
send that out tomorrow, okay,
Yes.
reports, here we go.
Why, I just questioned about the TSA, why, and the SIP money, why is it in parentheses?
No,
You just said that.
I just said,
No, this is month after month after month, it says parentheses.
Oh.
it's just a format I follow, you're saying it's parentheses like it's gonna get the number.
So it's not a negative number, it's not negative, that's what you're getting, it's not negative, it's not,
I'll take the parentheses out.
okay.
Good catch, Bill.
Well, I always wonder about
Yeah,
that.
no, it's
I
not,
see what you're
yeah, I know what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. So I'll email it out first thing tomorrow.
Did we all read the reports?
Yes, we all have reports, questions,
That's a
comments?
great suggestion, Mr. Norton, Mr. Chairman, sir.
Shut up. I'm sorry. Okay, so I read that, I got a question on Jerry's, the cattails, I mean, this has been going on forever.
Yes, yes.
I mean, it's,
See the teas today?
They
No,
still
I haven't
haven't
been there.
cleared that one,
Yeah, the new machine.
bridge.
the bridge is not cleared,
No,
I thought they cleared them, the bridges were cleared. Well,
not in
you
that
know,
one stop.
you don't have to buy a piece of machinery that's expensive, you can go buy the
Rework?
the Ego one, that
No, I disagree with you there.
listen,
Those things are nasty.
you'll knock them down, you know, and if you got to them when they were small, they wouldn't have the problem that you have, right?
Yeah.
So,
Listen, you know what? The town has a flail mower that does a wonderful job with that stuff.
yeah, but we never get it,
No,
we
we
get it
never
once a
get it.
year, right? So,
Why? Because.
So,
whatever, I'm just, that's another way of looking at that, okay, that's number one. Number two is, listen, it's gonna come down to the same thing of, the CIP and the plan, so, going forward. oversee, I thought we were putting, actually thought we were putting, sod in one, like we did on the down where the trap was taken out.
No, they seeded it.
Did they really see that?
Yeah,
Okay.
they did the same thing with 4 and 5.
Okay. All right.
Did you notice there are aerated fairways?
No, I haven't been there.
No, it's in Jerry's report.
I haven't been there.
They haven't aerated fairways in years.
Really?
Monday.
That's good.
Any greens, tees, and fairways, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
I just wanna run it by everyone, we're gonna go aeration rates
Yeah.
Monday
Yeah.
to Friday.
Yep.
Is it the Friday or Monday?
well,
We
we
usually
usually-
go Monday to Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
Do you want me to send out an email? I just wrote myself a note to do it, but like our usual, just email.
Sure,
I'll send it out tomorrow morning.
you'll put it in there?
Yeah, I just put our usual discount on the rates.
Yeah.
Now,
Same
is
as
that
earlier
for
in the year.
residents and non-residents, is it for everybody?
I mean, if we go with the same, we're gonna go with the same discount we did in the spring.
Right.
Yes, I think it just didn't apply to seniors,
senior.
so we might wanna do that this time
You
around.
wanna just
Oh,
like,
yeah, how come it doesn't apply to seniors?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
that's just kinda how it was set, I mean.
No, it should apply to everybody.
I think-
It's playing the same course.
You may have different rates for different things based upon the amount that the seniors are already paying, and this is where
I
we
mean, with the
rate
new,
anyway,
with the
but.
new software, you could just do a percent discount, you just wanna do that, like, then you can just pull up the senior rate and just, you just type in discount percent, 20%.
20% or so.
Yeah, pretty much what it is anyways,
Then-
and it can apply to any rate.
like that 12 to 3 special we do 30 for adults, then 25 for seniors.
Okay.
So we'll.
That'll be good.
The YOC subsidized that's coming, did that work out?
It did, we got our
How'd that
first
work,
check.
that's very, did that work out for us?
Better this year, I mean, last year we.
This was doubling, right? Yeah,
But this year, we've had hundreds of them.
good,
Really?
So,
very good,
Yeah. Yeah, it's very popular.
Nice.
So I was like, when's this first check coming?
Listen,
in
I
for
will
July?
say-
It
right.
came in, so we get a
Listen,
monthly.
I'll say this to you publicly, that, you're doing a great job with the youth, and you really are, and I'll tell you,
Absolutely.
from experience, like my niece sent her children to a course in New York, and it was awful, and I talked to, I guess we could call my grandnephew about this. He said the poor, it wasn't even a pro, and it just turned the kids off to golf. So kudos to you and you guys for doing this thing, and I hope that more pros, and courses, look, that's the future. So if you're gonna hire someone who's not gonna do it right, then don't bother doing it at all, right? And it's just,
I
I'm
appreciate
sure the people
that,
in New
but
York
I
are not gonna be too happy to hear that one,
On
but
my
I'm
end,
just telling you what it is.
I'm just fortunate that everybody supports it. I mean, I don't know how it is at other golf courses if they support
Yeah.
golf like
True.
Berlin does, so.
Yeah.
I can tell you this, today I played behind, not Brendan, who's the little one?
Reed,
Reed and,
Anthony.
Anthony.
That Anthony's adorable.
Oh my God, these kids had a blast, and they were good.
Oh, yeah.
They are good, and you know what, their golf etiquette was stellar.
That's perfect, that's what you
Man,
know
it
what?
was
That's what you want.
a pleasure, it was a
Yeah.
pleasure following these two on the front nine.
There's Reed Myers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll give a quick shout out while we're still kind of on the record here is, they just had the sub-regionals for drive, chip and putt,
Oh, yeah.
and there are 120 that, so they have local qualifiers that get to sub-regional.
Sure.
And then 120 total get to the sub-regional at Lyman.
Yeah.
16 make it to the regionals, which is one step closer to Augusta, it's like one step away. We had 3 of the 16 were from Timberland Golf.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Excellent.
And
That
it's
is
Reed
better.
Myers, who's been there,
Yeah.
Anthony Deanna,
Oh, good.
and Ava O. who-
Oh.
Yes,
Is that-
she,
is that
she's
so?
only 8 years old.
Is
Good for her.
that-
Yeah.
That's great.
And she hits at 150 yards.
She-
Does she really?
You ever see her up there?
Say, that's further than you.
Girls,
That's awesome. That's
Straight.
terrific.
this girl is legit.
But,
Amazing.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
the,
just a pleasure to work
That's
with
good,
these
that's,
kids.
you know what, that's great, that's great.
And
to
since
hear.
day one,
Thank
Saul has been a big supporter of the junior program up there,
you,
which
Sal, very
we just
good.
have a very good
It's
thing
nice
going.
to see all those kids.
I mean,
great.
I can tell you, I've been there long enough now that I have seen from my first year, kids that were on the high school team are now active in the men's club. I mean, they're paying on the weekends to play the premium rate. I mean, I've I've seen it now.
Yeah.
Transition from when they
So
were
full circle.
youth
Yeah,
to now they're still playing golf at Tivoli Golf Course. So
nice,
yeah, it's
nice.
a good thing.
Absolutely.
Very
You
good.
anything from the CSG?
Just means I'm old.
Your award?
The
Anything?
CSGA.
For junior, for your award?
Oh no, I haven't heard yet.
When's that, when are you gonna make a decision?
I think so.
I think September, right?
Yeah,
Isn't it coming
I
up
think
September?
so. We'll see. Just keep doing what we're doing.
That's it. Don't worry about, you know what, just keep going forward.
Awards are awards. I mean, they're
Yeah.
fun to get, but I'm just lucky I can do what I do. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, you're doing a great
Yeah,
job.
Great job, great job. So. Adjournment,
Okay.
Peter? Anything else for the cause? No?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Gail, motion to adjourn, second? Nancy? Bill? Okay, you got it. Listen, it would have been Kevin, but if Kevin didn't do this, we would have been, you know, I mean,
True.
right?
Oh,
And
no.
so, but